Welcome to Compliance in Motion, and we're so glad that you've joined us yet again for another insightful discussion. Today, I'm super excited to have Oliviah Zimba with us. Oliviah, where are you located right now?
I'm in Harare in Zimbabwe, southern part of Africa.
Which I find just absolutely fascinating that our podcast, Compliance in Motion, is really connecting with industry safety professionals from all parts of the globe. And today with Oliviah, we're surely in for a treat because she has an extensive background in a career in safety. Oliviah, maybe you can jump in and give us some background information. So, you've had more than 20 years of experience in consulting and certification and training and auditing different types of compliance and safety programs. What initially drew you to this line of work?
I did a course in occupational health and safety, and I had to carry out a research project as part of fulfillment of the course. So my project was on occupational health and safety in an agricultural setting at a farm. So I did my research at a farm in the outskirts of the capital city where I live. And I developed a keen interest in pursuing issues of occupational health and safety management, especially in farming communities. So that's how it all started.
Well, that's very interesting. I'm always curious as to how other safety professionals have chosen this as a career path. Now, one of the things that I've learned about you is that you tend to describe three corners of a triangle when framing in your areas of expertise. I think you've described those corners as supporting organizations, seeking certification, training certifiers, and working on accreditation bodies. Do I have those three right?
I've worked for a certification body. In the certification services department, I headed the department. So I've certified some organizations. And then I left to pursue a career as a consultant, as a management systems consultant, to assist organizations that want to get certified. So I help them to set up their systems based on international standards, especially standards published by the International Organization for Standardization, or ISO. So I saw the struggles of companies that wanted to be certified. And I started a consultancy firm to help them with those struggles so that they can easily get certified, at least without too many hitches. In terms of accreditation, the certification body that I worked for was accredited by the South African National Accreditation System and later on by the Southern African Development Community Accreditation Service. So I was on the side of the certification body where I was audited, had to be assessed for my department to gain their accreditation. So when I left, I was trained as a trainer in accreditation standards, in certification of products, certification of management systems, and also in training of certification body personnel. So those are the three triangles that I've had exposure to: the accreditation, the training of certification bodies, certifying organizations, and then training and preparing organizations for certification. So I've been around all the three corners of conformity assessment, if we can use that term.
Absolutely. And that's definitely some breadth and depth of expertise. You mentioned about the challenges that organizations face when seeking to align properly with ISO standards. What would you say are the top two or three challenges that you see most frequently as people set out on this journey to become accredited ISO organizations?
Challenge number one is understanding the requirements of the standards that they choose to get certified to. Even if they go through training, it doesn't matter how many times they are trained and who trains them, people still struggle to interpret the requirements and apply them to their day-to-day operations. That's number one. And then number two, all the standards, management system standards, require that an organization appoints a team of people to internally audit the management systems. So these internal auditors, although they receive training, they are usually not able to audit soon after the training. They need to observe competent auditors auditing. They need to practice and then get assessed for them to be deemed competent. But most organizations don't go through those steps. It's training and straight to auditing. So when I audit or assess their systems, I can see that their auditors are not raising the real business issues that can bring about improvement. The audits are like scraping the surface, if you like, where people
Mhm.
are not too sure as to what exactly they are supposed to be doing, what questions they are supposed to be asking. And the third problem or challenge is aligning what is in the standards to the day-to-day operations. Most organizations believe that a system is running side by side. Their whatever system that they've been implementing, because with any organization, they are running processes, they are implementing processes of some kind, which may not be based on any standards, but when they adopt standards, they have two systems. One system is what they are used to doing, the way they used to do things, and they don't want to change. And when they introduce a standard, they cannot superimpose the requirements of the standard onto what they do on a day-to-day basis, so that the two get integrated. So you have many organizations running two parallel systems: their old way of
Mm.
doing things and the standard way of doing things. So those are the three main challenges that I can highlight from my experience so far.
In it, and in your experience, do you find that is it a company of a certain size that is seeking out to get ISO standardization, or is it more based upon the complexity and quality control issues, and it's regardless of the size of the company?
The size of the company doesn't matter, because we have companies certified of different sizes, some multinationals even, some regional and some local and some really, really small. So it's all sizes.
All
There isn't
sizes.
any like
So,
typical size.
so it really has more to do about conforming to standards that perhaps are even required by your customers. And if you don't conform to the ISO standard, you may not even be able to bid on certain projects and things like that. Is that a fair understanding?
Yes, usually it's the customers demanding that their suppliers be ISO certified. And with our government, for one to get government tenders, to win government tenders, one of the requirements is ISO certification. So if one wants to participate in government tenders, they have to be certified. So it's three categories, if I can say. There's those companies that want to participate in government tenders. Then there's those whose customers are demanding that they be certified. And then the third category is for companies that just want to be certified to improve their operations, to gain more customers, to shine on the market locally or regionally or even internationally.
Would it be fair to say that the degree of a complication of a project to become ISO certified is based upon any given company's starting point? So if you already have your house in order and you're doing a really good job, to become ISO certified might not be that difficult of a path for you. Whereas if you're starting from a point of high degrees of non-compliance, it's going to be a very difficult road ahead. Could you comment a little bit on the complexity of getting ISO certified?
The complexity or complexities usually arise if the top management do not get any training at all. And it's common that in many organizations, training is concentrated on the process operators, the shop floor type of people, the heads of department. But as soon as you move from the departmental heads to the top executives, there isn't that much training that happens there. So because of that disconnect, it becomes difficult for everyone to be on the same page at the same time. So it delays the certification. It makes the process a little bit complex because sometimes they don't understand why they have to provide resources for certain issues to be addressed, or they don't prioritize those issues that can hinder or slow down the process of certification because they haven't received any training. They don't understand the link between what's in the standard and what they do every day. So I could say it's usually the lack of training at the top of an organization that makes the whole process complicated because everybody else will be understanding what they are supposed to do. They'll be trying to do their best for them to get the certification, but the disconnect with top management can be a problem.
We hear this time and time again about leadership, senior leadership on the same page with the safety culture, and certainly with key projects and sustaining processes around ISO compliance in an organization and or implementation of new processes to support the ISO standards. And so oftentimes there is a disconnect. And many of our guests comment on the fact that there is a disconnect between leadership and the frontline worker. So, listeners out there, one of your key takeaways, again, from another Compliance and Motion podcast, is work with your leadership, gain their support, and make sure that they have the same level of training and education on what you're trying to achieve and sustain across your organization so that everybody's on the same page. Now, Olivia, a question for you. I believe that you have done and provided services around certification and training, I believe across 12 different countries in your region,
Mhm.
maybe even more. But the data that I have today says about 12. And one of the things that I notice is that doesn't necessarily depend what region of the country or the world we are in. There's common denominators that you can almost see coming your way, regardless of geography, regardless of type of industry, that people will share. So when you take on a new customer or a new project for certification alignment, what are your observations? Does it change from location to location, country to country? Or do you see the same top 10 variables? Doesn't matter where you are. Same 10 things are going to be on the radar screen.
I could say there are common issues in almost all the countries that I've been to and the people that I've trained, but sometimes the government can play a part, especially where the certification bodies are government controlled. If they are part of the government ministries, where you have some donation for example, small to medium enterprises to get certified. They get donor funds to do that. And the certification body is a government-owned certification body. It's common that they may certify some systems that shouldn't even be certified, that may not even be ready for certification or ripe for certification, but because there is the push
Mm.
from the donor funds, the donors, the government wanting to demonstrate that they are committed, and the certification body having no choice because there is this push and there are timelines to be adhered to and so on. So this is what I observed in those countries where certification bodies are belong to or are part of the government structures. And then where you have certification bodies that are independent of government, the the common issues are those that I've already discussed, where the issues of top management not getting any training or enough training for them to be able to lead the processes, and also the issue of timelines with people want to get certified over a certain period or by a certain date, so things are not done necessarily properly for an entity to be ripe for certification. But then with certification and adoption of management systems, it's a continual improvement process. People have to start from somewhere, but sometimes that somewhere isn't like there for it to be deemed ready for certification.
Yeah, I think so. It's, everybody has a different starting point. And that starting point can be dictated by internal and external influences, such as a government, or external, such as a government or a customer contract, that are really going to drive a timeline to approval. The internal could be a process of readiness, and whether or not people are ready to kick off a project of this magnitude. Speaking of people, obviously there's a lot of human element involved in a lot of our work environments, whether you're on a construction site, a manufacturing line, or working in a warehouse. And in any one of these, you might be pursuing an ISO certification or other type of certification that has some rigorous element and clearly involves human element and a repetitive process that can be duplicated and consistent to a certain level of quality. What are your thoughts as people start to adopt more robotics, more artificial intelligence? Are the traditional methods of ISO getting challenged because of introductions of AI and robotics?
I would like to think so, that traditional methods are being challenged, because even before AI, during the COVID times, we were sort of permitted to conduct remote audits. A remote audit is quite challenging. You are doing this virtually. You're not on site. You can't see exactly what's happening. So people can tell you what they are doing, or try to make you believe that they are doing certain things which you can't exactly prove when you are auditing virtually. And then with AI, I mean, we are all scared of losing our jobs eventually because of robots and the whole AI thing. But what I've seen that people can embrace is using AI to detect safety hazards, using AI to detect when people are exposed to danger and things like that. So AI is good, but I think we are adopting it really, really slowly in that area. But we do have some developments where some
Which
have made some helmets with dust detecting devices or gas detecting devices, especially in underground mining. So it's good for some, and those late adopters I'm sure they will suffer for not adopting it early. But anything virtual or that involves a lot of technology can be challenging for the most part, until perhaps maybe
Yes.
people get used to the fact that everyone is now doing it, it is caught on, and we can all now join in. So you have those early adopters and those that want to wait and see how many more people are going to be doing this so that they can join in. So that's a challenge. that I can say is a challenge.
It is definitely a balancing act. We have new technology coming at us at a very rapid rate, and certainly artificial intelligence is finding its way into the workplace, into construction sites, manufacturing, warehousing. And there's a lot of great benefits, as you touched on. The early detection of safety issues is a big application for AI. And combining ISO certification with AI can really make an organization even stronger. As we look towards the end of our time here today on the podcast, I'm wondering if you could leave our listeners with a couple of key action items. What should they be thinking about, or what should they do next to further their journey into ISO certification, or wondering whether or not they need to be ISO certified? What one or two things as advice and direction would you give to listeners?
That's not an easy one, but because if you look at ISO certifications worldwide, it's not that many organizations that are certified anyway. And those that are not are still running their businesses, they're making a profit, they're doing fine. So the next question would be, is it really necessary? That's a question that I've actually been asking myself for a while now, especially this year, because I'm not too sure if SpaceX is ISO certified. Would you know?
You don't.
SpaceX, is it ISO certified? They're making billions, are they not? So is it something that we should pursue? Is it something that we should help people to pursue? Is it that helpful? These are questions that I'm just beginning to ask, but I do believe that adopting international standards, international best practices can help an entity to improve its performance. Maybe they can do that without getting certified, because the certification it's a piece of paper, yes. It's the icing or the cherry on the cake, but the actual cake is adoption, implementation, and seeing tangible improvements, because certification is also big business. And is it really necessary? That's the question.
It's an excellent question. Is it really necessary, and how will it be helpful to your organization? It may not be a requirement for you to continue doing business and to be a profitable company. However, if you're aligned with a particular vertical market where your customers demand it, that is a game changer. So really, it's all about assessing the road ahead and your vertical markets that you plan to be in, as well as assessing how it might help you for improving quality. And then the third area, perhaps, is all around safety, and how you can up your game for your own organization and build your culture for many generations to come. So I want to thank you, Oliviah, for participating in our podcast today. It was very interesting to hear your take on certifications, ISO, and in our safety world, especially as we take a look forward into how new technologies can impact that. Greatly appreciate your time. And thanks again for being on Compliance in Motion.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it very much.